Stop. Okay. All right. My name's Nell, and I'm going to be debating with Mary today about whether or not a race-based affirmative action should be eliminated. And I'm going to say that it should because this is just a terrible policy. First, I mean, race really is just too broad of a standard to decide who gets into college and who doesn't, because there are plenty of people of every race that have equal opportunities, and it's really just not fair to base something solely on the color of your skin when you could get into college on your own. Okay. I'm also going to say that this is reverse discrimination, although I'm not really sure why it's called that, because discrimination should cover discrimination against everybody. But anyway, gives a higher standard for non-minorities, which is just really wrong when they're achieving the same whatever. Okay. It's also minorities might not be prepared to compete at the level that everyone else is competing if they're given a lower standard. But my main point is that this is actually harmful to the people that it's supposed to help the most. This perpetuates the stereotype that minorities are not as capable as I guess white people, which is wrong, because this lowers their own sense of self-worth and also the standard of accountability.
Hi, my name is Mary, and I will be on the con side of this proposal, saying that affirmative action based on race should be allowed to continue. Because throughout the history of America, there has always been racial discrimination. Like, look at our president today. He's still treated, like, the way that most people describe him as black. They don't describe him as our president, they describe him as black. So race is still something that is very important to American life. In many different ways. No, keep going. Anywho! So anyways, race is also a suspect class. So it should really still be considered something that you need to account for when you're letting someone into college, because there's still a lot of racial discrimination is not only based on economics, but also the fact that because you're a certain color, you can't get certain opportunities, which goes on to create economic disparities. It doesn't actually necessarily come from economic disparities, but it comes from race. So to cancel out any economic disparities, you need to continue thinking about how you can protect other races. And this also promotes diversity in college campuses, because you can never tell if there's someone who's of a different economic class. It's hard to discern what their economic class is. But you can tell if someone is of a different race, and it promotes diversity and interaction between the races. I, as a Native American, find this really, truly...
Okay, thank you, Mary, for those really interesting points. I'm glad you brought up the president, because the president is a perfect example of why affirmative action should be eliminated. Because he actually grew up in an upper middle class neighborhood, and he was given many opportunities, and it's just really not fair that he would be treated any different applying to college than, say, a person of a non-minority race who grew up in a terrible neighborhood and went to a bad public school and didn't have the support at home that President Obama did from his loving grandmother. So, anyway, I would really like to stress the personal harm that this can do, because I didn't really fully get to cover that in my first speech. You're basically telling minorities that they cannot reach the same goals that white people can, which is it's wrong, and it does perpetuate discrimination. And as Mary said, discrimination can lead to economic disparity and further inequality. And what was I saying? So eliminate affirmative action. Summary.
Okay, you're still going. You're in negative time. Okay, anyways. So I think it's interesting that Nell brought up because how does she know that he was a recipient of affirmative action, that he benefited from affirmative action? You're falling victim to the idea that you were talking about yourself, that black people if they went to a good college, like say Columbia, they must have gotten affirmative action, gotten in through affirmative action. They couldn't have gotten in from their own merit. So the idea that you think that only black people can get in by affirmative action.
Yes, that's what I said.
That's what you said. I am quoting you directly.
Oh my God,
that race is still something that is truly important and we need to consider because only black people apparently can do affirmative action, but that's not true. Because I'm a Native American. It's 1/16 Algonquin. Really benefited from affirmative action, have gone on to